Hey everyone, it's Lean from ColoradoLean.com. Welcome back to the craft room. Today I'm sharing my third 6x6 one-sheet wonder pattern. This layout turns one sheet of pattern paper into 3 cards with a small strip left over that you can add inside or toss it in the trash. While I was experimenting with the pieces, I realized that a couple extra cuts can turn this same layout into 3 completely different cards. So today, I'm going to show you both ways to use it. Let's start by cutting our 6x6 pattern paper. For today's project, I'm going to be using a piece of pattern paper from the Lost and Found 2 paper pad from My Mind's Eye. This is from 2011. My card base for all of my cards today will be the ivory color from the 110-pound coffee and cream paper pack from Recollections. And if you'd like to follow along, I do have this cutting guide available as a free PDF download. You can find this down in the description as well as over on the corresponding blog post at ColoradoLean.com. For my first set of cards, I'm going to use this fun pattern paper here. And I'm going to start by trimming off this top piece right here. So I will line this up at 6 inches. Now, if you have a directional paper, then you will want to take note of that. And the first piece that you're going to want to trim off is a 1/2 inch on either side. So it will be 1/2 inch wide by 6 inches long. So I will line this up at 5.5. Now this is the piece that you can save for later, or you can just toss it in the trash. But for now, I'm going to set it aside. Now our pattern paper measures 5.5 inches wide by 6 inches tall. So I will put it in so that it is 6 inches across. And I'm going to remove 2 inches. And with our final piece, I'm going to cut this at 3 inches. Now we have 5.5 by 2, 3 inches by 4, and 2.5 by 4. And our extra 1/2 inch by 6 inch. So let's get started with card number 1, which is our 3 inch by 4 inch piece. I've already cut all of my mat pieces as well as the majority of my sentiments. For this card, we need a mat that is 4.25 inches tall by 3.25 inches wide. Today, I am just going to use some Bearly Art precision glue and glue my layers together. For this card, I'm going to use the Deepest Sympathy stamp from the Stampabilities Card Phrases stamp set. And all of my sentiments were stamped with Distress Ink archival ink in Vintage Photo. I am going to adhere my pattern paper and the mat to my card base. Unfortunately, I do have to eyeball this today because I cannot find my centering ruler. So things may be a little bit off, hopefully not too much. And then I'm going to line up my sentiment. Now, because I do have 2 layers of paper here, I am going to bring in my scrapbook adhesive thin 3D foam squares. And I'm just going to put a few pieces just right on the edge. You know what? I just noticed this new package is just regular 3D foam squares. It is not the thin foam squares. Well, shoot. I'm gonna see if I can't focus this. Even if it's not completely in focus, I think you can see the difference between the thin square and the not thin square. Shoot. Okay, well, I guess we're going to use these anyway. And I will try and take this thin one off. Okay. All right, guess what I will be ordering today? Let's go ahead and get the backing paper off. And as always, I'm going to apply just a little dot of liquid glue to my foam. And then I will line this up. There is card number 1. For card number 2, we are going to use a piece of pattern paper that measures 2.5 inches wide by 4 inches tall. Our card mat is 2 3/4 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall. And for our sentiment, I'm going to be using the You Are Simply the Best. This is from an exclusive organic set from Rubbernecker Stamps, which, if you did not know, is now Brass and Bliss. So again, I will glue my pattern paper to the mat. For this card, I am going to put it a little off center to the left. And then I'm going to place my sentiment down towards the bottom, but over towards the right. And there is card number 2. For card number 3, our pattern paper measures 5.5 inches wide by 2 inches tall. And our mat is also 5.5 inches wide. However, this is 2 1/4 inches tall. For my sentiment for this card, I am going to go back to the Card Phrases stamp set from Stampabilities. However, this time I am going to stamp directly onto my card base. Now, I have already lined this stamp up in my original Misty, and that's because I cut this stamp in half at one point, and it actually took me quite a while to get it lined up on here. So I thought, well, it's already here. I am not going to mess with it. So I will place my card base in here. And then again, stamp this with Ranger Distress Archival ink in Vintage Photo. Now, while that dries, I am going to leave my Misty out for just a moment to help me get my pattern paper lined up as straight as possible. And then I'm going to bring my card base back in so that it can also help me line up my pattern paper. And there is card number 3. Before we move on to our additional cards, let's talk about our 1/2 inch by 6 inch piece of leftover pattern paper. So as I mentioned, if you want, you can just throw this away and not even worry about it. However, you can also cut it into 2-inch long strips, and you could cut a fishtail in it. You could do a angled banner cut and place that on the inside of your cards. So let's go ahead and cut this down to 2-inch strips. And for this, I am using my Holtz mini paper trimmer. And with my EK Success Cutter Bee scissors, I am just going to cut up a little bit. I am going to turn this over so it's a little bit easier to see. And then I just have a little fishtail there. And in this first card, I am just going to line this up next to the fold. And there is a tiny little decoration on the inside of the card. Another thing you could do, if your sentiment on this card wasn't quite as wide as mine is, you could trim this down a little bit and then put a little fishtail here on the side. However, for this one, I think I'm just going to cut an angle. So just like that. For my last card, I am going to trim this down a little bit shorter. It's a tiny bit long for me. And then I'm going to cut another fishtail. Now I did get that one a little bit crooked. So that is one way that you can use this extra piece, or as I said, you can just toss it in the trash. Either way would be fine. Now that we've made our first 3 cards, let me show you how a couple of extra cuts can turn these same pieces into a completely different set of cards. The additional cuts will be shown in red on the printable guide so that you can easily follow along. I am using another piece from the Lost and Found 2 paper pad from My Mind's Eye. And I have already cut this second sheet into our original layout so we can jump right into those extra cuts. For card number 1, we will take our 3 by 4 inch piece and we will cut it diagonally. Now you can use whatever kind of paper trimmer makes this easier for you. And it certainly doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Today I got lucky. So I will put my trimmer away for a moment. And again, I have already pre-cut my card mats as well. Our first card pattern paper is 3 inches by 4 inches. Our original mat size is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and they are cut diagonally. Now, I do need to mention that for this second set of cards, a non-directional pattern paper will work best. It can still be done with a directional pattern, but some of the cuts might be a little weird looking. So a non-directional pattern would be best for this second set. I'm going to mat my pattern paper, and this will be a horizontal card. So I am going to glue my pattern paper and mats down like this. Now, my first instinct for a sentiment on this card is to stamp in this space here. Now, while the majority of my sentiments from the card phrases stamp set are large enough to fill up this space, I actually had a different idea. And for that, I'm going to bring in my Tim Holtz Alphanumeric Bold alphabet die set. These letters are 5/8 of an inch tall, and they actually look pretty darn good on here. Now, I have already cut out all the letters I need for happy birthday, and I will show you what I have in mind. And I think this is a great way to make a masculine birthday card. I'm going to go ahead and glue this all down, and I'll be back with you in a moment to show you what it looks like. And there is our finished birthday card. Now, I definitely suggest laying out your letters first to try and get the spacing correct. The first time I tried this design, I did not do that, and it didn't look the best. So if you lay it out, then you have a better idea of how close your letters should be. All right, for card number 2, we are starting off with our original 2.5 inches by 4 inches. And this piece we're going to cut into 2 pieces, so they are 2.5 by 2. So we will trim this down to 2 inches. And I don't know if you can hear my chickens in the background or not, but I don't know, there might be a cat in the yard or something. So again, we're going to start off with a 2.5 by 4 inch piece cut in half for 2 by 2.5. And then our mat will start off at 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And we will cut these in half so that they are 2 3/4 wide by 2 1/8 inch tall. And just because of the way I'm going to be gluing these down, I will bring my Misty stamping tool back in, because I'm going to line this up on the bottom. And I want to make sure that is as lined up as possible, or as straight as possible. All right, and there is our pattern paper. Now it looks like this one is a little bit long, so I am going to trim that down just a tiny bit. Okay, and that looks much better. So I'm going to bring my card base in, and I'm going to line this up at about 3/4 of an inch on the top and the bottom. And then I will flip it over and do the same on the other side. And then for my sentiment, I'm going to use the Deepest Sympathy from the Card Phrases stamp set. And I think I am going to use some more of these foam squares. I'm, again, not happy that they are not the thin. And I am going to line this up about where I want it so that I can get some of these a little bit closer to the center. And then I will line it up. And there's card number 2. Okay, for card number 3, we are going to start with the piece that is 5.5 inches long by 2 inches tall. And we're going to be doing quite a bit of cutting on this one. So we will cut this into 3 strips that measure 1/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1 inch. So again, I will bring in my Tim Holtz mini trimmer. And I like to start with the smallest cut first. So it will be 1/4 of an inch. And then the next cut will be 3/4 of an inch. And then we have a 1 inch piece left over. So 1 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1/4 of an inch. For our mats, they are all 5.5 inches long. I have my first piece that is cut to 1 1/8. I have my next piece that is cut to 7/8 of an inch. And my third piece is 3/8 of an inch. Now these are going to give a very, very small 1/16 of an inch mat around our pattern paper. And again, I'm going to bring in my Misty to help out with that, but I will not make you sit through gluing that together. I have all of my strips glued together. For the sentiment, I am going to be using the Card Phrases Happy Birthday. And again, I'm going to stamp directly onto my card base. While I have my card base in the Misty, I am going to use this to help me line up my strips. I don't want a whole lot of space between them. Okay, I like how that looks. My first one will be lined up at 1 3/4. So I will get that glued down. Then I'm going to glue my top strip at just under 4 inches. And then that will allow me to put the middle strip halfway between the two. And there is card number 3. Here is a look at the first set of cards. And I do like how adding that extra strip on the inside gives them a really nice finishing touch. And here's the second set of cards using those additional cuts. These do take a little bit more time to put together, but I really like how different they look, even though they started from the same 6x6 cutting guide. It's fun to see how just a few extra cuts can completely change the look of these cards. If you're looking for something quick, this first set comes together really fast. And if you want to change it up a bit, the second set gives you another option. Now don't forget the free cutting guide is linked below in the description and over on the corresponding blog post at coloradolean.com. Thank you so much for spending some creative time with me today. If you enjoyed this project, I'd love it if you'd give the video a thumbs up. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next tutorial. I'll see you soon.